A heartbeat, the tide rolling in. A price chart. Three completely different things drawing the very same shape, and once you have seen it, you cannot unsee it. Almost nothing in this world moves in a straight line. It moves in waves, rising and falling over and over. This is the very first lesson in market cycles, and strangely, it begins nowhere near a market. Stay with me for the next few minutes, and I think the way you see a price chart will quietly change. Look at the natural world, and you find the same thing absolutely everywhere. Rhythm. Day becomes night, and night becomes day every 24 hours without fail. The moon swells from a thin sliver to full and fades back to nothing again on a cycle of about 29.5 days. Humans were tracking that rhythm long before we had writing. The tide rises and falls roughly twice a day, pulled by the gravity of that same moon, as regular as a printed calendar. And the seasons turn, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, not by accident, but because the Earth is tilted on its axis by about 23.5 degrees as it circles the sun. None of these are guesses or stories or superstition. They are measurable, repeating, predictable rhythms, and we build our entire lives around them. Now here is the part that most people never stop to think about. You are not just surrounded by cycles. You are made of them. Your heart beats in a steady rhythm. For a healthy adult at rest, somewhere between 60 and 100 times every single minute. Tonight, while you sleep, your brain will move through repeating cycles of deep sleep and dreaming, each one lasting about 90 minutes and repeating 4 to 6 times before you wake. And underneath all of it runs your body's master clock, your circadian rhythm, resetting roughly every 24 hours, quietly deciding when you feel awake and when you feel tired. You did not choose a single one of these. Rhythm is simply the default setting of nature, right down to your own body. So here is a fair question. If rhythm runs through the sky, the sea, and the human body, then why on earth would the things that humans build be any different? They are not. Take the economy. For more than a century, economists have carefully tracked what they call the business cycle. The economy expands, businesses grow, people are hired, and optimism builds. It reaches a peak, then it contracts. Activity slows and belts tighten. It bottoms out at what they call a trough, and then, slowly, it begins to expand all over again. Expansion, peak, contraction, trough, the same 4 seasons repeating again and again. These cycles are never perfectly even. Some expansions have lasted barely a year, others have run for more than a decade, but the shape always returns. Growth, exhaustion, decline, recovery, a pulse, and you have lived through these turns yourself. A boom that felt like it would never end, a downturn that felt just as permanent, and yet, every single time, the wheel turned again. Which brings us at last to the markets. A price chart can look like pure chaos, a jagged random mess that seems to mean absolutely nothing. But step back and ask one simple question. What is a market actually made of? People, millions of them, and people are not calculators. People run on emotion. When prices rise, optimism builds into excitement, and excitement hardens into greed. Everyone wants in. When prices fall, comfort turns to worry. Worry curdles into fear, and fear collapses into panic. Everyone wants out. Greed and then fear. Buying and then selling. Rising and then falling. That tug-of-war never truly goes away because human nature never goes away, and it leaves a footprint on the chart, the very same rising and falling wave you've been watching all the way through this video. Now let us be honest with each other because this part really matters. A market is not as precise as a clock. The tide arrives exactly on schedule. A market cycle does not. It can run long, it can run short, it can be stretched, squeezed, or distorted by news, by shocks, by the genuinely unexpected. So we are not talking about fortune-telling here. We are not promising you the future on a silver platter. We are talking about rhythm, a tendency to repeat, not a guarantee. Hold on to that one distinction, and you are already ahead of most people who ever look at a chart. So if the rhythm is genuinely there, the obvious next question is a simple one. Can we measure it, not feel it, not guess at it, actually measure it with numbers? It turns out that we can. More than 50 years ago, an aerospace engineer named J.M. Hurst took the very same mathematics that engineers use to study radio signals and ocean waves, and he pointed it straight at the stock market. And what he found was striking. A single, chaotic-looking line is very often several separate rhythms, layered on top of one another. A long, slow wave with faster waves riding along on its back. Your eyes simply cannot pull those waves apart, but the mathematics can. It is the same idea that lets a trained ear pick out a single instrument inside an entire orchestra. And that in one sentence is what this entire series is about. Not predicting the future, not magic. Simply learning to see the rhythm that was hiding inside the noise the whole time. In the very next episode, we take a single price chart and we break it into its 3 hidden pieces. Trend, cycle, and noise. And I promise you will never look at chart the same way again. If the idea that markets move in rhythm is new to you, then this series was built deliberately for you. Start at episode 1, follow it all the way through and take your time, because everything moves in cycles. Now, let us learn how to read them. You can run a free cycle analysis on your own chart anytime at fractalcycles.com. I will see you in the next one.